Hello everyone, my name is Financial Charles and welcome back to another video. From now on, this channel is going to be centered around Bitcoin because this is what most accurately reflects my investing and financial strategies for the past couple years. I've been a buyer of Bitcoin ever since 2020, which is around this candle right here. This was the coronavirus capitulation, as you can see. And I've been a Bitcoin maxi, or I shouldn't say a maxi, but I've been mainly Bitcoin in terms of net worth ever since here. And then I got to experience, the 2021 bull run, and I also experienced the 2022 capitulation, and I experienced losing my life savings in Celsius. And that a type of event like that would turn off a lot of people from investing in crypto forever. Like, I even know this one guy, he lost all of his money in crypto and now he thinks it's a scam. So I think that's the worst position to be in because now you're limiting your opportunities. But see, me, I stuck with it. Even after I lost all my money here, I just put my head down and I started working and I started dollar cost averaging again. And by dollar cost averaging, I actually mean lump summing every single paycheck. And in later videos, I will explain the thought process behind that. But this is the first video back in a couple years. I don't want it to be too long. I just wanted to get another video out there and just keep on making more and more videos, and hopefully I'll just get better at speaking on the fly. Short story, I quit YouTube for a couple years because the editing was so tedious, but this time I want to approach it in a style in which I don't even have to edit it. I want to be like a Benjamin Cowen type format where it's just straight talk, no editing. I think that'll be an easier workload for me instead of, trying to edit for 8 hours a day. It's not fun. But today, the main thing I wanted to talk about was my Bitcoin, projection over the next couple of years for this cycle. I think that Bitcoin is going to be around 120 or 100 to 120,000 by November or December of 2025, and I'll show you why. And it's because every peak that Bitcoin has experienced is approximately 4 years apart. Every bottom is approximately 4 years apart, and every pre-halving year is mostly sideways. And Bitcoin reaches its previous all-time high approximately 3 years after, and I'll show you that on the chart here. And then, another thing, a lot of people think it's going to 100 to 120,000 this cycle, and when a lot of people think one thing, it's most likely not going to happen. I remember that this was the exact target that a lot of people were coming to during last bull run. When we were hovering around this range for ages, we all thought it was going to 120,000. But even before this, when we were all down here, we thought that Bitcoin was going to go to 400,000. Like, we actually all thought that it was going to go to 400,000. And then obviously we moved the goalpost once we're up here. But when everyone thinks one thing, it's most likely not going to be it. So one thing that you can take away from this is you can almost guarantee that Bitcoin's not going to peak at 100 to 120,000 for this next cycle. We don't know if it's going to be below it. We don't know if it's going to be over it. Past data would indicate, because there's been diminishing returns each cycle, this to here, this peak was a 20x of this peak, because this is about 1,000, this is about 20,000. But this peak was only about a 3x to this peak, because this went from 20,000 to about 60, 70,000. So if we were to, extrapolate that into the future, we could assume maybe a 2x, would take us to 120,000, or even as little as a 1.5x, which would be very disappointing. That'd be about $80,000, $90,000. But, one thing that's different about the cycle, and it's very dangerous to say this time is different, but technically what is different is Blackrock, they want to allocate some of their assets to Bitcoin, and there was a rumor that stated that they wanted to allocate 85% of their funds into Bitcoin, and they're a manager of $10 trillion of assets. So if you were to put $8 trillion into Bitcoin, that already makes Bitcoin a $10 trillion asset. I mean, right now it's less than $1 trillion, right? Over here, Bitcoin was over $1 trillion asset at the peak. And if if they put 8 trillion in, there's going to be another 2 trillion coming in somewhere else. But what I'm trying to get at is it's going to be about the same market cap of gold, and that would make each coin about $500,000, give or take $100,000. And to assume that Bitcoin would go to 70,000 to 500,000, according to the data, I know that Bitcoin is known for its parabolic rallies, but 500,000 to me sounds very moon boyish. I know that 500,000 is inevitable. We don't know how long that will take. It might take decades, but mathematically, it is inevitable that Bitcoin will eventually reach there. But that's not what this video is about. I'm going to make another video about that in the future, and I can't wait to just dive deep into it. And this is why I wanted to make more videos, and Bitcoin videos in particular, is because whenever I talk about Bitcoin, there's just so much to talk about, and there's so much detail to go through. It's like, I might as well just make these YouTube videos. But anyway, let's get back to the focus of this video. Hopefully I don't stretch this out too long. But the point I wanted to make was how the peaks of Bitcoin is always approximately 4 years apart from each other. The bottoms are approximately 4 years apart from each other. And Bitcoin usually reaches its all-time high 3 years after the previous high. So let's see the examples here. This peak right here in the end of 2013 was November and December of 2013. And if you go 4 years later, the absolute peak was about November to December of 2017, which is 4 years later. You could kind of argue January was pretty up there too. So with this 4 year apart thing, just give or take 1 or 2 months. And then here from November, December, January of 2018, you go 19, 20. Oh, no. Yep. December of 2017. 4 years later was December of 2021. And we all know that the peak of here was November of 2021. So again, give or take a month or two. So this is where the peak was. So if we were to extrapolate this into the future by 4 years, we can expect the peak to probably be somewhere around October, November, December, or January of, or let's just, to keep it simple, let's just say December of 2025. It's December of 2025. So no matter what the price is, I think this time what my strategy is, I'm a hodler, I hodl most of my stuff. I hodled throughout this whole entire thing, and I did not capitulate. The only reason I capitulated was because I gave Celsius my coins, which that is how I learned not your keys, not your coins. I knew not your keys, not your coins back here, but when so many people are in the crypto space and they're telling you, hey, 5% with Celsius, and you think like, I know that there's a risk, but what are the chances that this platform is actually going to go bankrupt? And of course, I had to choose the platform that went bankrupt first. If BlockFi went bankrupt first, I would have removed all my money from Celsius that day. But of course, I had to. I don't know, man. I don't know if God exists, but if he does, then he definitely did this to teach me a lesson right here. It could have been any platform. Could have been FTX that went first. Could have been Voyager that went first. Could have been BlockFi that went first. Of course, I, as a former Celsian, of course, I had to be the victim right here. And if it wasn't for this, I would have had a lot more Bitcoin than what I have now. But, lesson learned. I bought the Ledger back here. And then it was around here that I bought a cold card because next thing you know, Ledger has the ability to extract your seed. So it's such a shame. And I just hope that, the same doesn't happen with cold card. I think with crypto, it's a learning experience for sure. Back here, people could tell you, not your keys, not your coins, but you're not going to listen until you get your coins taken away from you. You're not going to listen. I'm a Bitcoin maxi now, as in I don't plan on investing in alts and anytime soon. And I'll let you know, like, I made a lot of money with alts. I made more money with Ethereum than I did with Bitcoin technically. And this is going to be for another video, but I did sell Ethereum at the very top, and I'll show you guys in a different video. I used my Ethereum profits to, buy a car, all that stuff, paid the taxes and all that. But there's a lot of advantages to just holding forever. So that's going to be my main strategy. Anyway, that tangent has nothing to do with what I wanted to actually talk about. So let's try to get back here. Oh my god, hold on. So let me show you. All right, let me remove the drawings. I know hopefully those drawings are just nonsense. Maybe I'll make a video about that later. But right now, this is just my first video. I want to put it out there. The bottom here was January of 2015. If we go to January of 2019, this was the bottom. Also, technically, it was in December of 2018. So again, give or take a couple months. January 2019, exactly 4 years later. And then exactly 4 years later after that, January 2019, so 20, 21, 22, 23. January of 2023. Obviously, December or November here, that was the bottom. So obviously, give or take a couple months. But again, it marks a macro bottom. It marks a macro bottom. So, and another thing to notice is that usually from peak to bottom, it's about 1 year. November 2021 to November 2022. Exactly 1 year apart. December of 2017 to December of 2018. That's exactly 1 year apart. And then all the way to the first one. November of 2013 to, let's just say, November of 2014 was here. So this is 1 year apart, and then it continues to capitulate. So again, give or take a couple of months. Maybe give yourself a 2 to 3 month window before and after. That's a pretty big window, but you can expect, according to the data, you can expect a bottom. So if we, according to the data, expect the next top to be of November of 2025, we can assume that the next bottom, let me type it out here, the next bottom might be around October to January. So let's say October of 2026 to January of 2027, somewhere around there. And you might want to implement a dollar cost average out, a DCA out throughout, this time frame. And I can't wait to make a video on that in the future about a dollar cost in and a dollar cost out strategy instead of trying to time the top and try to sell it all at once. I think, after experiencing all this loss, I do think that had I just dollar cost averaged out on each one of these candles, I would have been good, and then it would have been, I could have bought back in lower. But that's obviously a trading strategy. And even if you were to dollar cost average out here, like Bitcoin is already back at 30,000, it's probably better for your sanity to just buy and hold forever and don't even worry about trading. Like it might just be the best option to just buy and hold and store into cold storage. So I showed you the tops, I showed you the bottoms, I showed you the length between the tops and the bottoms, and let me show you the time it takes for Bitcoin to reach back to its previous all-time high. And we'll start with this, the first cycle. Bitcoin, topped out November, December of 2013. And then if you go here, December of 2016, this is about 3 years later. This is where, it really started to get near that all-time high. And obviously, give or take a couple months. But really, this section right here, this is about 3 years later, and it's right where it was at its top. 3 years later, to be exact. Bitcoin tops here about December 2017. And if we go here to the November 2020 or December 2020, it actually surpassed it by the time 3 years came. So who knows? Maybe that might be the next case for here. But, around that November, December time frame, that's when we experienced back at these all-time highs. And I remember this so vividly. And I remember accumulating here too. Like the emotions. And another thing is you want to really just separate your emotions from this. If it's good enough to screenshot, it's good enough to sell. That's all I'm going to say. Like I would have, even very early on, like December, or like not December, February of 2021, I could have sold here and I would have been good to go. I would have been good to go, and I didn't have to, deal with all this nonsense over here. But, as a Bitcoin maxi, the goal is to accumulate more Bitcoin, not accumulate more US dollars. And I'll elaborate in another video about that. So here, if we assume that, or if we see here that the peak was at November of 2021, then we can probably say November of 2024 is going to be where we, meet the all-time high again. So November of 2024 is going to be about right here. That's where we can expect the next all-time high to be, or not the next all-time high, but where it meets the all-time high again. And I'm going to just reveal these disgusting lines. I'm not a technical analyst. I'm not I'm not an expert at drawing. These are just nonsense lines for myself. All right, this is just for myself. It's not for you guys. It's just a reference. So just ignore all these nonsense lines. These blue lines, they don't mean anything. They mean something to me, but I'm not going to explain it. These notes here, this is just for me to look at, so I know that I'm not switching my stance or I'm not moving my goalpost. This is what I came up with in July. Right now it's August. I don't want to explain any of this right here because it's just going to give you a headache. But I will say this blue line right here represents the all-time high. And this yellow circle represents, the November of 2024, where we are scheduled, according to the data, we are scheduled to reach the all-time high again. And then obviously these light blue, baby blue lines, this is just to project the direction in which it's going, just like how this line projects the direction in which Bitcoin was going. Obviously, Bitcoin doesn't go up in the straight line like that. It'll be under the line and it'll be over the line. This is just an average line. So in terms of where the actual Bitcoin price is going to go from here, I don't know if it's going to go down and then up. I don't know if it's just going to go linearly up. It's most likely not going to do this. I don't know if it's going to go up, then down, then up, then up. We don't know. We don't know anything. But all I know is by the time of the halving, I have these two circles around the time of the halving. I am mentally prepared for Bitcoin to be as low as $24,000 or $19,000. I am mentally prepared for that. Now, I'm not stacking up all my fiat and not buying Bitcoin because I think it's going to go down here, because now what's going to happen if I save all the fiat and not buy Bitcoin now, and then by the time 2024 comes, it's actually up here at $42,000. And I don't get the opportunity to buy here. I buy Bitcoin every single day. And, it's it's not good to buy Bitcoin every single day if you buy it here and next thing you know it drops here. But over the macro scale of everything, Bitcoin only goes up. It has the dips and everything, we get that. But over the macro scale, you'd be better off just buying Bitcoin, period. And this is Benjamin Cowen's dollar cost average tool that he just released not too long ago, and I'm going to make a video about this and exploring this more. I can't wait, but that's for another video again. Let's go back here. So if we just ignore all these terrible lines, we can assume here that Bitcoin is on schedule to reach here. So I don't know how you want to take that. Right now we're here at 29,000. So a lot of people are bearish, a lot of people are bullish. It's about half and half. So I don't know what way it's going to go. It might even go sideways. But by the time this halving comes, or by the time the 3 years comes right here, we should be up here at the all-time high again. And then the $120,000 range that I'm guessing is about right there. And then we're due for another correction. And I'm actually pretty bearish. I'll just show you this correction. I have the next correction going back towards $40,000. And the reason I think that is because we went below the all-time high here. I remember with this cycle, we assumed that because this bear market never reached the all-time high here, we thought that was going to be the case again. And I remember Benjamin Cowen, we were somewhere up here. He was saying Bitcoin will likely never go below 40,000 again. And what happened? We went all the way down to 15,000, which was, you know, very much below the previous all-time high. So I want to expect that we break the all-time high with the next bear market too. I don't want to assume that we're not going to go below, or that we're actually, yeah, I don't want to assume that the the bear market of 2027 is going to be, above 60,000. I think it's going to be below that, just like how this was below the 2017 peak. So I'm thinking, maybe 40,000 to 40. And even this circle right here is worst case scenario. It's going to send us back to where we're at right now, which is the 30K range. But I have a theory, and only time will tell. So hopefully we can look back at this video and be like, wow, he nailed it. But perhaps our $30,000 range is equivalent to 2017's 10K range, where we just spent a majority of the time here at 10K. And I remember I was so young, I had no idea what Bitcoin was, but I made a game out of it where I was like, all right, when it's above 10K, I sell. When it's below 9K, I buy. And I had no idea what Bitcoin was. I just thought it was a thing that people traded. I had no idea that there was only 21 million in supply. I had no idea that it was better than gold. I had no idea that it was the most robust and secure protocol that the world has ever seen. It's never been hacked. I didn't know anything about Bitcoin back then. I didn't know anything about Bitcoin until it was around, September, August. That's when I started realizing, oh, there's only 21 million Bitcoins. That's probably why it's so valuable. I will say that I did buy the coronavirus dip right here, but that was because of speculation. It's not because I wanted a piece of the 21 million. I had no idea what that was. I just thought, hey, buy when people are fearful. So I bought there, and then it was the gains that I made from the instant recovery that encouraged me to look into, all right, what is Bitcoin? Because I just made so much money from it. I made more money than the index funds that I was teaching you guys about. And that's when I learned, there's only 21 million. So now I don't invest to make money. I don't invest to make US dollars. I invest in order to have a piece of that 21 million pie. I want as big of a piece as I can. Because this pie, you're going to be sharing it with the rest of humanity, and you're going to be sharing it with the rest of people that are going to continue to be born in the future. So yeah, that's why I buy Bitcoin every single day. I don't care if it's going down here. I don't care how much this hurts. In fact, the more it goes down, the bigger your pie is that you're buying with the same amount of money, if that makes sense. But I don't know. Okay, I think I'm just going to wrap it up for this video. I'm going to make another video tomorrow, and hopefully it's not going to be as long and as this one, but who knows. I'm just going to keep on making Bitcoin videos, and we get to look back at this years from now and be like, wow, I cannot believe it. I cannot believe that we were here, that we had the opportunity to buy here and here, or wherever it's going to be. So yeah, let's turn off these drawings, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully my videos will get better over time. I know this video I was just rambling and rambling. That means my first video in a couple of years, so hopefully I'll get better at it. Benjamin Cowen, he wasn't the best when he first started, but look at him now. He has, over 500,000 subscribers. By the time the 2021 peak came, he had 700,000, and it's stayed that way ever since. Hopefully I can be another voice of reason in the space, and maybe even be more reasonable, because I'm more cautious when it comes to the altcoins, because I didn't get burned on the altcoins at all. I made a lot of money from alts. I got burned from the centralized exchanges and the centralized custodians, and that's what really made me a Bitcoin maxi. That's what made me, cold storage, and and even watching channels like Bitcoin University with Matthew Crowder. He, I should have listened to him, you know what I mean? Like, I knew that I knew that he was against Celsius, because not your keys, not your coins. But I didn't learn my lesson until it actually happened to me. I didn't actually learn until I had to experience it for myself. So hopefully I can be another voice of reason in the crypto space, or not even the crypto space, I'm sorry, but the Bitcoin space. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe, share it with your friends, and yeah, I will see you tomorrow.